President Volodymyr Zelensky asked U.S. President Donald Trump for more ammunition for its Patriot air defense systems to counter Russian attacks.
Russian President Vladimir Putin does not want to negotiate with Europe, Ukraine's former Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk told Euronews.
Ugandan authorities have ordered the closure of the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo as suspected cases of a rare type of Ebola surge.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asked U.S. President Donald Trump for more ammunition for its Patriot air defense systems to counter Russian ballistic missiles. The request comes just days after one of the worst combined missile and drone attacks launched against Kyiv since Russia invaded Ukraine more than 4 years ago.
Ми розуміємо, що багато глобальної уваги зараз війні в Ірані. Потрібно припиняти і війну тут, в Європі. Війну дуже криваву, яка триває вже 5-й рік на повномасштабному рівні. І чим швидше ми зможемо дати більше захисту від балістики, тим швидше ми зможемо зробити так, щоб дипломатія спрацювала. Поки Росія покладається на ракети, її інтерес до дипломатії не справжній. Ми маємо це виправити. І можемо це виправити тільки разом з Америкою.
The start of the Iran war has shifted Washington's attention and resources away from Ukraine. Despite having developed a long-range drone interception system itself, Zelensky's appeal underscores Kyiv's continued dependence on its Western allies to down Russian attacks.
Russian President Vladimir Putin does not want to negotiate with Europe, Ukraine's former Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk told Euronews.
Putin is not eager. He's not ready for any kind of talks at this particular juncture. Maybe he would accept some kind of negotiator with the only very simple and obvious reason, to buy time and once again to outwait and to cheat us.
Meanwhile, Europeans haven't decided yet who could be the EU negotiator.
I'm not sure that Putin is ready to accept anyone. What Putin is ready to accept, he is ready to accept Ukraine's and actually European surrender. And we have to realize this. It is not about the names. It's not about some kind of international or domestic politics. It is about policy. What kind of policy we're going to pursue towards Russia? The only language Putin understands is the language of force and strength.
High Representative Kaja Kallas stressed Europeans should agree first on their core requests to Russia before considering talking to Moscow. The matter is set to be on the agenda of an informal meeting of European foreign affairs ministers on Thursday.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and his British counterpart Keir Starmer signed a major new defence and security treaty on Wednesday in London. The deal aims to bolster British borders, tackle organised crime, boost collective defence and further deepen cooperation with the European Union.
We have deployed troops, NATO troops obviously. We will now train further together. We will share capacity together, develop complex weaponry together and invest in each other in terms of how we go forward. So this is really important in terms of a signal to the world of the strength of the relationship between our two countries.
Meanwhile, Tusk reiterated Poland's will to protect values he says the country shares with the UK.
A dla nas one pozostają ważne, ale też dla naszych narodów. Rządy prawa, demokracja, prawa człowieka, to poczucie solidarności z ludźmi, chęć działania na rzecz ich bezpieczeństwa i dobrobytu. To wszystko jest fundamentem tego traktatu.
According to Poland's Secretary of State of the Ministry of Defence, the agreement also offers clarification on military assistance in the event of a threat, technology transfer and cooperation on cybersecurity. The deal follows new treaties the UK has signed with Germany and France and is part of Starmer's strategy to rebuild ties with the EU following Brexit in 2016.
Ugandan authorities on Wednesday ordered the closure of the border with its neighbor, the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, as suspected cases of a rare type of Ebola surged to near 1,000. The decision by the Ugandan Ebola Task Force comes as other variants of the virus emerge and follows a rise in local health workers exposed to the virus by Congolese patients who crossed before the outbreak was declared on the 15th of May. According to the Ugandan Ministry of Health, travel across the Congo border will be authorized only in emergency cases, including for the outbreak response, cargo, or security reasons. Uganda has reported 7 cases of Ebola, including the first case of a 59-year-old man who died in Kampala, the capital, on the 14th of May. In Congo, there have been some 228 deaths. While the caseload in Uganda is not spiking, the number of locals exposed to infection via health workers has been rising.
Officers from the Civil Guard's Central Operational Unit entered the national headquarters of the Socialist Party PSOE of Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez in Madrid on Wednesday. They followed a court order, the preliminary step to a formal search in connection with a secret investigation into Leire Diaz, a member of the party already under investigation for influence peddling. A judge is investigating alleged payments linked to Diaz, which are believed to be connected to CP, the Spanish state-owned industrial holding company, and its former president Vicente Fernández. The National High Court has also charged the party's treasurer, already under scrutiny by investigators, for the use of cash linked to other corruption cases surrounding the party and Pedro Sánchez's government. The Prime Minister, who was on a diplomatic visit to the Vatican on Wednesday, has stated that he does not underestimate the ongoing investigation and has assured that they will offer, in his own words, full cooperation with the court.
En este caso, bueno, pues aparentemente estamos hablando de un requerimiento, no estamos hablando de un registro. No quiero tampoco, minusvalorar la gravedad de la investigación que ahora mismo la Audiencia Nacional está teniendo en curso. Si hay, comportamientos irregulares, nuevos, me refiero, pues actuaremos con la misma contundencia que hemos actuado antes.
No es la primera vez que la UCO entra en Ferraz, ya lo hizo el pasado 20 de junio de 2025, también por un requerimiento de información y no por un registro formal, en el marco de la detención de Santos Cerdán, el exsecretario de organización del PSOE. Se trata de otra de las tramas que rodean a los socialistas junto a la Operación Tíbet, que afecta de lleno al expresidente del gobierno, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, por un caso de presunta tráfico de influencias y malversación de fondos. Javier Iñiguez, para Euronews, desde Madrid.
Hungarian lawmakers have voted overwhelmingly in favor of reversing the country's withdrawal from the International Criminal Court, which was set in motion last year by former Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's government. Prime Minister Peter Magyar submitted the bill on Monday and rushed it through legislature in a fast-track procedure. The ICC's legislative body hailed what they called an important decision after the government announced last Friday it would discontinue the process of withdrawal. Orbán announced Hungary's exit last year while hosting his ally Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In 2024, the ICC issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and other top Israeli officials over suspected war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in the war against Hamas in Gaza. Arrest warrants were also issued for several Hamas leaders. Magyar has indicated that Hungary would execute ICC warrants against anyone, even Netanyahu, despite inviting him to Budapest for later this year.
German far-left militant Daniela Kleta has been sentenced to 13 years in prison on Wednesday for a series of armed robberies committed while she was a fugitive. The 67-year-old and former member of the Red Army faction, or RAF, was arrested in her Berlin apartment in February 2024 after evading authorities for more than 30 years. Kleta was found guilty of 6 counts of particularly serious robbery committed between 1999 and 2016, as well as other charges including extortion and arms violations. The robbers got away with a total of 2.4 million euros, according to prosecutors. Claytor was accused of having been the getaway driver in several heists and carrying a realistic-looking dummy bazooka in robberies where the men carried assault rifles. Prosecutors also accuse Claytor of 3 politically motivated attacks in the 1990s, while the gang was still active, but those charges are being dealt with in separate proceedings. The RAF is also known as the Midday gang, a radical anti-capitalist group that carried out killings, bombings and kidnappings mainly in the 1970s and 1980s.
And now we've got researchers on a Greenpeace expedition are exploring the Arctic deep sea, one of the least known wildernesses on Earth. More specifically, they are exploring the so-called banana hole to search for undiscovered species and ancient ecosystems. The banana hole is a remote and mysterious area of the Arctic high seas that lies in international waters, located between Norway and Greenland. Greenpeace says it is home to seamounts, or underwater mountains, as well as volcanic hot springs, which it says acts as a living library of our planet's history. However, despite of its importance, the environmental organization says the banana hole is under threat of deep-sea mining. The Greenpeace vessel departed earlier this month for a month-long expedition to raise awareness on the danger of deep-sea mining. They are now live streaming from depths down to 3,000 meters until the 30th of May, and the expedition is expected to last until early June.